Oh man, if you like that, you'll like this even more. Welcome to the most overrated, underappreciated, most viewed, underviewed podcast of all time. Welcome to the Prince of Fresh Air. I am, of course, your host, the most delightful, the most charismatic man in entertainment. And it's been a while, but you know what? I have some exciting news real quick. I've been on Instagram a lot lately, creating fitness content, and acting has been going well. But I'm excited to partner with Sugar Bear Pros gummies. They reached out to me to collaborate, and these are vitamin gummies. Vegan, cruelty free, and they help promote hair growth. Something my guest could. No, I'm just kidding. But Sugar Bear Pros is wonderful. They hooked me up, and this is not a plug and a push to get you to buy it. But if you're looking for something to add to your vitamins and to help promote healthy hair growth and stuff like that, check them out. They're great. But enough about me, because you hear my voice all the time. This is not about me. This is about my guest here, and you might know this guest at this point because he shows up more than the IRS does. Rich, how you
I
doing,
was in
man?
the intro. I'm just saying.
That's true. How's life, Rich? It's been a little bit since we did a interview. How's life?
That's good, man. Not gonna lie, I dig your intro. Good.
Appreciate it.
I like it.
Yeah.
Not much really, man. Just spending a boatload of money for dumb stuff and paying off debt, and I don't know, just trying to not die.
Yeah, surviving inflation like we all are.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. Yeah, it's been pretty interesting. Couple weeks and months for me too. It's been a lot of ups and downs, but you know what? We make do with what we got, and we be grateful for everything that we have. Now, Rich.
Yeah.
Actually, before we get into the episode, I do want to ask you, because I did. The last episode we did, you talked about your health and stuff like that a lot of people aren't aware of. How's that going for you? Because a lot of people were grateful to have hear a story like that.
Really?
How's that going? Yeah.
Oh, I'm starting to lose teeth.
Oh,
Yeah, good stuff. It's not a joke. Dead serious. Diabetes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. What's I'm not trying to turn this into a dark thing, but I actually recently, this actually happened after the last time we talked, but when my cousin, he's been suffering for diabetes for, I think,
you told me that,
15 years, and he passed away a couple months ago, through the diagnosis because of it. And it's something that a lot of people don't take seriously. Sugar in our diets, we take it for granted until something goes wrong. So, man, it sucks to hear that, man. I know it's tough, but how do you keep it motivated though? Like, how do you keep yourself grounded and motivated?
So I have a pretty badass wife. That always helps. I do that whole freestyle Libre thing. That whole thing that they just stick on, you stick on yourself, and it monitors you all the time.
Oh, okay.
So you have literally free reign to see what's going on at all times. So, which is good because it keeps you accountable, but it keeps everybody in the loop. Like you were no longer needing to prick your finger. I'm taking like the whole daily insulin thing, which, I mean, whatever. I thought I was going to be against that, but I don't really care. It's fine. I mean, I generally feel fine. I'm just like, I mean, I'm slowly dying, and I'm well aware of it, and it is what it is.
No, you got to look at it this. It's a setback for major comeback. This.
You say that.
Yeah, you got to stay optimistic. That's how I kind
Well,
of
I'm
look at
not
it.
pessimistic by any stretch. I'm just a realist, man. I realize
Okay.
this is going to kill me. I'm well aware of that. Now I can control potentially how quick that kills me, but you know, just if you have this, understand you are probably going to die from it. Some complication of it, you're going to die from it. And if you are convincing yourself you can somehow reverse this, then keep thinking that because it doesn't really go away. It's like the herpes of autoimmune disease.
No, yeah. Well, yeah. Now
Not to
you're
be
right.
dark, but you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But I'm
Uh,
not like negative by any stretch. I'm just like, shit, man, I'm losing my teeth. That sucks. I'm gonna go buy a new one, which we are going to do.
That's fair point, and I've had this conversation with you before. I mentioned I have asthma. I've been born with it, got it to this day,
Oh, you
and
poor baby.
yeah, it may not be as bad as Well, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't. Let's not compare diagnosis here, but I'm in the same boat that I have to.
Content.
Yeah, exactly. But I also got to be, careful of, not carrying my medicine, which I've done and I could
Right.
sometimes continue to do often. But I've realized that if I don't, I've lost people, to, asthma
Right.
attacks and, not being ready and having
Yeah, I
their
got asthma.
rescue. Yeah. This is a PSA because I want to make this, Rich, I know you, people know me. We don't want to make this too sad, but
Med
if you're
Journal
going through something,
2024 and shit.
that's true. But if you are going through something, take it seriously. Don't wait till the last minute, because the last minute may not be. You may not get another chance to rectify the situation. So, we're going to continue
Yep.
to send our prayers and keep our thoughts for you, Rich. I know you're a gloomy son of a gun, but you know what? We're going to get through this. We're going to power through it.
Well,
Um,
and real quick, just throw this out here too. Um, so, I have a website now, right? I'm still building it because I'm a lazy, person, but it's fine. Um, it's up and running, like it's active. But anyone that wants to reach out in regards to anything, questions, just a kindred spirit, whatever, I'm zero opposed.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's the purpose of this pocket. We laugh, we joke, we have fun, but it's to really help other people who may not have the platform
Right.
that we have to speak and find other people who are going through it. So Rich, let's
Yeah.
get into the fun. Let's have some fun, because we're both sports guys.
Yep.
There's not a lot of good stuff happening in the news, but I want to talk about a couple things. And so, I've been interviewing a lot of people in the sports world, journalists, spoiler alert, I got a heavyweight champion of a certain sport coming on at some point. But, sports is part of our lives. Everybody's a fan of either NBA, UFC, NFL. But betting has been on a rise lately. And a lot of people are betting on in sports. Now, I don't bet. I've written papers on betting, which is why I stay away from it and gambling. But I know you're not a big betting person and gambler yourself. But what do you think about gambling in sports? Because a lot of people are saying that it's changing the sport, is changing the fan bases, is making people more toxic. And it's just ruining the atmosphere of sports. So, like, how do you feel about that?
So don't hear what I'm not saying. I told you I don't really bet, and I don't, but I used to do it. Like, I used to dabble. Um, it's there's a real thin line in the sand where it becomes a hobby, and then it becomes you trying to fund stuff, right? I think people tend to, just like with regular conventional gambling, um, they get swirled up in the whirlwind of it. right? It becomes you're chasing that dragon. You make that one bet, you lose. Oh man, okay, hold on. Let's see. What can I do to remake my money back plus get something? Okay, let me do a parlay now. Like you are continuously just trying to break even. Like that's really kind of what it does.
Right.
Very rarely do you just kind of stick the tip in and everything is fine. Like it just doesn't work that way. Um, Absolutely, that it makes the fan bases more toxic. Absolutely, like, there's no way. You got the people that don't even really they don't become fans anymore. They become fans of players and fans of outcome.
Right.
Um, if your team wins, it isn't good enough because they didn't cover the spread. So now you're like, this team is trash. Like you just, and it sucks because all of the major leagues have got in bed with her. Like, oh, this is a moneymaker fully, absolutely. And I get it. It all cream. That just you know they said it best. Wu Tang said it best. That's what it is, and it's free marketing. It's free marketing. Like you get more people in, you get more asses in seats because okay, this team's on a heater. I want to go see my bet win. That's dumb because you just spent $80 for a ticket to win $20 on your bet. Okay, cool. But now you've just supported your team unintentionally, or this team unintentionally, and quadrupled, you know, what you're like. It doesn't make sense in the logical, place there. But there are the people that can have fun with it, that just do it sporadically. I like to do it on the Super Bowl where they have all those crazy prop bets. I'm like, okay, let me put 30 down and I'm put $1 bet on 30 of these props just for poops and giggles. And whenever I get back, I'm withdrawing, putting it back in my account, and that was my fun. Very rarely does that happen. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think it's a thing. Just like with anything in life, moderation is.
That's true. That's a fair point. I'll tell you this: I'm a cheap bastard. Anybody who know you, I hate losing money, and yeah, I look at it this way. I remember like in college, I took a sociology class, and part of that class, I got to meet gamblers,
Yeah.
people who were high rollers in casinos, and look, truth be told, I hate losing money. I look at it that it's easier to lose money than it is to make money, and
Yeah.
one of the reasons why, like for me, I never really got into gambling is like writing that paper and hearing stories of people who got into it. It just seems that unless you know how to control it, it gets out of control real quick. First thing you start off with $10, then you move up to 50, and then you move up to 100. Next thing you know, you're in the thousands in a hole. Now you behind on rent and stuff. And this is no way, shape, or form discouraging or telling people not to do gambling. But just make sure you do,
Yes,
like you said,
it
do it.
is. Yes, it is. Don't do it.
But here's the thing. I've accepted that. I know a lot of people who gamble, and the funny part about it, especially when it comes to sports, I have people who don't even watch some of the sports I enjoy, and they gamble on it. I'm like,
Right.
are you gambling on something you don't even know? And like I said, I'm not knocking because people going to do it. It's like me and cheesecake. I'm going to eat cheesecake at some point. It's just moderation. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, not to get to the point, but
You.
yeah, I love
And
cheesecake.
and
Uh,
no, not that. I mean, it's overrated, but whatever, it's fine. Um, so and here's I'm gonna give you my two avenues of thought here. I don't know if it's worse if you win or if you lose, because if you win, you're like, hell yeah, man, I got money, I got a bankroll, let's go, and then you just usually blow those winnings. Or is it worse if you lose because then, like I said earlier, you're chasing that dragon? It almost feels like a double-edged sword. Like you, pun intended, you literally can't win.
oh no, the house, either whether it's gambling or sports in a casino, the house always wins because, like you
Mm,
said, either you win and you like I need more, and you lose and you like I got to make it up. So you're always going to be continuously in that rut. But actually, I wanted to ask you this because
Yep.
So I'm not gonna mention his name. If you like UFC, you probably know who I'm talking about. But there was a certain former fighter, UFC fighter turned coach, who got in this big gambling scandal, where he was training fighters in divisions in the UFC, and he had a reputable name, reputable gym, but part of his thing was making bets with his, on fights, especially on fights that his fighters were in, which he shouldn't have been doing. It turned into, having offshore accounts and potentially having his fighters throw fights, because you're watching these fights, you're like, how did he lose in that way? Like that, you don't see that often. Or, it looked like he took a dive. Um, and we're seeing this also, shout out to boxing, but boxing gets a little, a lot of has lost some credibility with people, because people feeling like people taking dives in order to make people's parlays and bets. Um, when you hear about, like, I don't know if you heard about these type of scandals, but when you hear of people in the inside of these sports betting on their fighters and athletes as well, do you think it has become an issue, or do you think that like you said before, is moderation, and then there just needs to be some rules in place?
No, it's bullshit. Don't do that because you ruin the integrity of the sport. Um, you look at Pete Rose. Pete Rose is literally not in the Hall of Fame, one of the best hitters in baseball of all time. He's not in the Hall of Fame because he bet on games. Did him betting on games have any any issue or any effect on him hitting the ball? Absolutely not. But he ruined his legacy and his career and his ability to ever get in the Hall of Fame because of that. Because of essentially it's sports insider trading. That's really kind of what you could consider it. Um, you got people like you said. I wasn't aware of this, but I've definitely been privy to hearing stories like that. If you can see the surprise on my face, yeah, of course, absolutely. You think about you put you look at what the purse is, right? Let's say the purse is 100,000, right? And your guy is a 3-1 underdog. Put 50,000 on your guy to, or you put 50,000 on the other guy or your guy to win. You talk to the other guy, say how I'll chuck you 25 grand or whatever to
Mm-hmm.
you're up 25 grand for your investment. So just little things. Like obviously the money is going to be much bigger than that, but absolutely, and it's greed and it's stupid and it's unnecessary, and I don't get it because cats out here are making bank, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Like there's no reason to spend that. I guess I would spend the money, but like put yourself on at risk just for what doubling what you're making right now, once, twice a year. Okay, but it's such a high risk, low reward scheme that it just takes all the, like you said, like especially in the fighting game.
Hmm.
It I would say this: if any sport you can tell if someone is throwing a fight or throwing like the opposing player team, whatever, that's the only sport, that in boxing I would say, that you can really tell, yeah, wasn't that didn't really happen. Like that was thrown. Can't really tell in baseball too much. You can see maybe a bad call in the NFL, things like that. It's like raises an eyebrow, but you really can't really pinpoint it. When it's a one-on-one thing, like you barely got hit, man. I've seen you take 14 different hits like that before last fight, and you were just like, hold my beer. Now you get slightly hit, you know, on the top of your head, and all of a sudden you're having a seizure in the middle of, like, come on, man, what are you doing?
Right. And then you out partying right after. Yeah. You know, I want to shift gears there a little bit, because one of the reasons why I also want to talk about it was the fans. And I see it mostly because, UFC is my sport.
Yeah.
But you do see it like NBA. There's, a lot of history with fans and stuff. But lately, there's been a trend of fans harassing players and athletes.
Mm,
You
yeah.
know, and being vocal, especially on X, formerly Twitter, um, on
Great.
their parlays and bets. Oh, you put 2,000 on, or you catch the 3-on-1 underdog of Stephen Curry in the finals. You could potentially quadruple your earnings and stuff like that. And I think because more people are gambling, fans I should say, are gambling, you're also creating a situation where fans, like you said, are no longer a fan of the game, but they're more a fan of the outcome because
Yep.
they're going to get richer if they do. And if they end up losing, now they're booing the players, they're harassing the players, they're trying to go to these events and touch players and start trouble because they're trying to throw them off their game. And one of the funniest things I've started seeing is a lot of people who are betting, when they lose, they the athlete is overrated. He's mentally weak. He's trash, and I think
Yep.
it's ruining the sport. What do you think about the fans though? Like from the fan aspect, are you a fan of the fact that a lot of the supporters and fans of these sports are now becoming more hostile and
No, fans are the fucking worst thing that happened to sports since fans. Like, it, especially with the ability to speak to whoever you want, reach out, social media. Like, I listen to the fantasy footballer, right? And it's funny that you say that because it's obviously a fantasy football show, yada yada yada. And last show they just made a little tongue in cheek joke, but they put a disclaimer out there: don't reach out to these players. Don't don't base on them because they didn't do what they need to do for you in fantasy football. Well, the same thing kind of holds true in the betting thing. Do you think? Do you really think that Austin Eckler shit his pants last year, all year, was not playing good to make you to make John from North Carolina look bad, to ruin your bet? But John from North Carolina is like, man, I knew he was going to blow it. I knew it. It's like, well, then why'd you do it, stupid? Did you really know it, or are you just trying to cope? That's really what it is. And then those people can't handle adult situations, even though they're doing adult things. They take it out on the player. Like, you realize there's another set of players on the other side of the line, right? Or, in the fight game, there's another guy that's trying to punch you in the face too. Um, things happen, but it is it is abysmal. It is terrible because I get it. At the end of the day, there's two ways of arguing about it. Yeah, they make millions of dollars. They should be able to deal with it. It's like, yeah, you know what? It's a little different when you're like, you suck, opposed to like, you fucking cocksucker, I'm going to chop your head off. That's a little different. Little bit.
right.
Because there is a certain level of crazy out there that you don't really know. And you got someone that's like, you just talking mess, are you really about to like find me? So, there's that part of it. I just think that it's a bad look, and it really shows people's like real darkest, deepest bad side. And you're never gonna stop it now because now it's literally here to stay. It's like technology, it's not going away, it's only going to evolve, you know. It's funny, you think like, remember before, like, sports betting was taboo. Now if you're not betting, you're like, wrong with you? Why are you not putting something down on something? Like, I don't know, because I can count, and I don't know. I don't want to be like you. Like, I hate to say that, but the people that you really look at gamblers, they're usually not well off. Like, they're the ones that are like scraping the quarters and the dimes and the pennies out of their seat cushions. They're like, all right, man, I just need to put one down. If I put one on a 50-leg parlay, I'll be right back up. It's like, yep, absolutely. It's exactly what happens. That always works.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? I'll tell you this. So this UFC featherweight that I follow on social media, and his last fight, he was fighting,
You're about to hear
so
some noise on the way.
that's fine, that's fine.
All right.
Um,
You have a
you know,
Roomba now.
of course, ruin the most charismatic experience.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, but
You're welcome.
but so this is a UFC fighter, Bryce Mitchell, who no, it's a fan favorite. He's from, he has a certain fan base that he's targeting, which is cool. But he fought Josh Emmett in his last fight, and Josh Emmett hit him with a shot that left him convulsing. I mean, this was not planned. This not staged. This guy was convulsing on the canvas. And it was sad to see. As a fan, I know combat sports is dangerous, but you don't want to see fighters taking that
No.
type of damage. And so
What was the shot? Like, what was the?
he caught him with an overhand right to the I think it was a hook that caught him,
Okay.
and it floored him. He
Where
started
at?
shaking. It was a UFC event. I
No,
think it
I'm
was
saying like, was it like a chin? Was it a temple? Like, where he?
I think it was the chin. I think it was the
Okay.
chin. But he went down and he didn't follow up. He fell,
Good.
and a second later he started shaking, convulsing.
Not
That's not pretty to see.
good.
And the reason why I bring it up is because if it, not all fans are like this, but instead of sending him regards, sending support and love to him and his family, people are like, yo, bro, you ruined my parlay. I'm like, who does that? And I think I was talking to MMA journalists who covers the sport, and he was talking about how people get upset with his picks because it turns out he was right and they end up losing the bet, or they lost the parlay and now they on X, and they're harassing journalists and players, or athletes I should say rather. Oh, yo, you ruined my parlay, man. I need that money back. And it's sad to see athletes go on social media and talk about fans harassing them. Like it's crazy that athletes have to make posts, sharing screenshots of fans saying, yo, bro, how could you do this? Now I can't feed my family because you lost. Like, you just take it, you just like ruining the fun of the sport. Like that's the most craziest
Let
thing.
me be that athlete and let me get some dumbass text like that, please, please, because it's such a toxic thing. Well, and here's the thing as well. So on the other side of the fence, that is why you can mute. That's why you can block. And it makes it really easy to siphon out the actual fans of you and then the fans of right now.
Right.
So I get that part, but no one should have to deal with that. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm just normal, man. Like, I don't get it. Like, I hear that and I see that and I shake my head and I giggle a little bit to myself. I'm like,
You can't make this stuff up.
you're the one that I said initially you're betting to gain. Oh, I don't even know how I worded it. I forget how I worded it in the beginning. Something along the lines of like something you're betting to fund something, i.e., your family. If you're betting money to try to feed your family, maybe you need to reevaluate your financial situation and your financial decisions. Just saying. Um, I, it's a shame and it sucks. They don't deserve it. But as an athlete, entertainer, anybody that has a celebrity status, you do need to have thick skin. You should not have to be subjected to that. But this is the social media age, and you make yourself readily available. And good, bad, and indifferent, it's what's going to happen. But that's why you have the option to block it too. So put it out there, screenshot it, then block that sumbitch. But unfortunately, it's only going to get worse. The more and more betting becomes prevalent and these leagues back it, you're kind of setting your players up for failure. But as a league, you're making a bunch of money, so they don't care.
Yeah, like you said, this is the new age, and that's why when I said, do it controllably. I know that people are going to continue doing this. Is the culture now. The betting is only going to get more and more prevalent, especially when it reaches. It's not available in every state yet, But when it does,
It
man,
sucks.
it's going to take on a life of its own. And but
It
you know what the
sucks.
key thing is I've realized, and you know, truthfully, breaking news here for people who don't know, but you have someone like Drake, for instance, right, who clearly has a partnership with DraftKings, one of the most prominent, betting sites. But you'll see, like for UFC a lot, because he'll bet on it. You'll see him putting down, $900,000 with a potential cash winning of 2 million, right? But people don't realize. You think Drake is risking all that money every time by his own cash? No, this is something he's a partner with, and he's not losing all that money. So
What?
people, and I think a lot of people end up betting money they don't have, and they
Mhm.
ended up complaining. And I think that's the only. I
That's
think
the
that's the
problem.
biggest reason is people, spending money that they don't have, and they get mad when they lose it, and now they got to find another way to make it back, and it's
That's
hard to
why it's
do
called
that.
motherfucking betting. Like that's why it's called betting. Hey,
That's why I don't get involved. Even if it's $5, that $5 could get me a Domino's pizza when I'm hungry. So that's how I look at it. Although
first
now
of
with
all,
inflation,
I
can't
was
really get
gonna
it for
say,
$5.
what the fucking decade are you talking about, man?
I'm in New York City, and you didn't get no pizza for $5.
You gotta pay $5 for the cover to walk in there. Shit.
But I do want to ask you about something.
Yeah.
We're gonna switch gears a little bit. We talked about this a little bit, but Draymond Green. For people who don't know, Draymond Green is on the Golden State Warriors, one of the most dominant teams in the last decade. And he's known with the big three: him, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. They have a great chemistry. They've won multiple NBA titles and championships and awards, and he's a great, all around player. However, Draymond Green has been in the news quite often in the last few years for his rough playing style. And I like Draymond Green, but he's known to make in
I've
the
seen
middle
some
of
clips.
plays. Yeah, he'll throw an elbow, throw a little kick to the groin accidentally. And if you can't see, I'm putting quotation, it's a joke, you know, and he's known for doing that. And he's gotten, expelled from a game or two, but he hasn't been really reprimanded by the NBA. What do you think about players like him who go out there and because they have a big name and they're with a popular team, they don't get they get preferential treatment when it comes to rough playing and stuff like that?
Well, you're a goon. You're a goon. I'm a big hockey guy. I'm a big baseball guy. I'm a big football guy. I don't give a shit about basketball, but I've seen the clips of just being egregious with your aggressiveness and just like you're just being a dick to be a dick. Like that's really what it is. If you were a lesser known player on a lesser known team, yeah, you'd probably be crucified. But being that you're an advocate of the game and you have people, you have those bright lights on you, it's hard to make an example out of you, because unless you're out, like didn't Paul Pierce like stab people and they were like, meh, fine. Um,
Malice in the Palace, who can forget that?
like I mean, rip to OJ here. I mean, like, he went through all his shit. I mean, you think about Ray. What about Ray Ray? Like, there have been a boatload of big, big things that have happened in the past. Now, nowadays, nah. Like, you think about Rice out in KC. Think about Ray Rice in the elevator. Um, don't have your name Rice. Actually, don't have Rice as your last name and play football. You will fuck up and do bad things. Um, but you have these bigger name athletes that aren't doing crimes, but are going against like the league of like the conduct in the league, but also like the players, like that code. Like if you're out here playing hoops and you kick somebody in the dick, dude, I'm gonna stab you in the neck. Like what do you do? Like there was zero reason for that. Like if for an over the top action, I'm gonna over the top action. Like it's crazy. I mean, there have been people like that in baseball, football. Think of Bill Romanowski back in the day. Straight head hunter. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna get you across the middle. I'm literally here to hurt you. That Albert Bell back in the day in baseball. You want to see a funny clip? Look up Albert Bell and I think it's Fernando Vina. He just trucks him going from first to second. This railroad.
Oh, I seen.
Remember
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
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 no reason at all. So the shit he's doing, and I would say probably the least physical sport of the big four, I would say, in the grand scheme of life. If you look at hockey, football, baseball. Well, okay, I don't know, but baseball and basketball probably are interchangeable.
yeah,
But absolutely, there's no need to be to do the shit he does because it's absolutely on purpose. I don't have that on good authority, like you text me, but you can see it's like, dude, what are you doing? I don't know. Like, wasn't Ron Artest a bit of a goon too, a little bit?
yeah, yeah,
Like,
hothead. Yep.
and I get it, man. You get fired up and whatever, but it just seems like the situations that he's doing this stuff in, like you don't even what are you doing?
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
will say, I will say though, I will give credit to Meta World Peace, formerly Ron Artest, for at least getting help, and
Yeah,
the league and his team for pushing for that. It seems like with Draymond, until recently, the last stint that he pulled, he was getting away with doing it so much, and I think I always say this: when you have a bunch of yes people around you, and they never really, this is a P Diddy thing, but anyway, when you have a lot of yes people around you who don't teach you to do better, you continue doing to pull what you're doing, and I think now
you know how you
that he's
fix
older, Draymond Green is pushing 40. He's not going to be in the lead for another decade. So he's getting older. His value is, I wouldn't say he's starting to decline, but it's not at his peak that he used to. So now there's not that tolerance for that type of behavior. And now I did read that he was suspended for multiple games. And I was watching the video, and analyst was talking about that, and I just it's actually a good point. They said, you know what, the Golden State is probably tired of it, and they're looking at it. Okay, we got to look at the success of this team, and we love Draymond. He's a big part of the team.
got eliminated last night, didn't they?
Yep, yep. So now they're eliminated. He was suspended. We don't really need you as much anymore, so we don't need
There's
to pay
one way to
you.
fix it.
Yeah,
One guaranteed way.
and one of the things they're going to do is they're going to cut down his pay, and that's going to, you
Nope.
know, that may not be the ultimate solution that the team has, because they don't want to just give up Draymond. He's still, a pretty, good player, and he has a really big name, so he could go to another team and use the star power and his abilities elsewhere.
Cool.
But one of the things they said was, if you take a player who's used to supermax contracts, 4 year, 250 million. All right, we'll sign you for 1 year, 20 million. You're gonna be like, what? Excuse
Prove
me?
it. To prove it to you.
Yeah.
But here's how you fix it. Honestly, and this is you let the players police the sport. Here's how it goes. High or low, motherfucker. Pick one. And when the teammates go high, teammates go low. Now you don't have a fucking knee. What have you? What if now? And I don't want to advocate for injuring somebody, but if you are continuously seeing him trying to injure people, trying to hurt people, being overly aggressive in non-needed situations, well, as a league and as player safety, which is ironic based on what I'm trying to advocate for, but okay, whoops, I'm gonna go up on the rebound. Oh shit, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to come down on your ankle. My bad. Oh, your ankle is now on the other way. It's turned around. Your foot shouldn't be that way. Sorry, man. That's how you learn your lesson. And you don't have to make it look egregious. You don't have, but that's how you police the game. You said you're a hockey guy to a degree, right?
Yep.
Until the last 5 or 10 years, you know, um, I don't remember. Did you guys have Claude Lemieux? I don't remember.
Maybe before my time, but
Yeah. All right. So at least back in the day, the players policed that game. You hit the star, guess what? You're getting rubbed out into the boards real hard. You do some dumb shit, you're getting hit. You're. I'm coming across the ice. You remember Scott Stevens? You're not too old for that.
no,
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
the
Um,
enforcer.
he was literally the antithesis of fuck around and find out. Absolutely, like that's what he did, and I know that you shouldn't try to hurt people, but neither should he. Well, eye for an eye. Yeah, well, maybe in this case, yeah. If you don't learn, maybe he needs to find out how to learn.
When I agree with you. And some people may disagree, but look, when we're talking about professional athletes, you hit somebody in the nose or you take them out for a couple games. They may not be a big name like you, so they might be losing out on pay.
Right.
They're losing out on playing time. And it's not right. It's not the right thing. But I will say in NHL, and some people may not like it. But I think it's cool that they allow the athletes to duke it out for a couple of seconds. You throw the gloves down, you get in the center,
Yeah.
and you handle business. And then you both go to the penalty box. Do you think this is just a random thought I had? Do you think if other sports adopt that, we'll see less of these egregious acts?
No.
Uh, I
No,
try.
because no, and I get it, but you know, what are you gonna have a power forward? Squaring up against the shooting guard here, like
Size
you
don't
know,
matter. No, I'm
but
just kidding. Okay.
you say that 6'10" against 5'8", it's like here, I'm gonna beat you while my dick's on your shoulder. We're all set. Like, but yeah, I think it's a problem, and the fact that he has like a historical plot to it. I think that's really what. Well, somebody needs to break his fucking ankle, man. Like, sorry, but
Yeah.
maybe you'll learn your lesson. Like, you'll know it happened on purpose. Maybe everyone else won't, but you're gonna be like, yeah, no, fair enough. I was a dick. Yep, well played.
Yeah.
But
You know what it is? And I always think it's like high school. You gotta he's kind of a bully essentially, and a lot of people don't want to use that word, but
hey,
he's kind of a bully because he's usually
it,
doing this. When you do stuff to other people, it's not going to attack you back. You're a bully, and I like Draymond, and this is not. I'm not advocating for him to lose all his money and his accolades, but you're a bully, and you're doing it to people isn't going to strike back until meets somebody. I think the last time he did it to somebody, they actually pressed him about it. But until you do it to the because actually, I won't say this because a lot of the times those people who are doing it, because Draymond is not the only one. Let's make it clear. But
right,
usually they're doing it to people they know aren't
right.
going to go after them until they meet somebody who's like, "Yo, you think that's cool? I step in the middle. Let's go." Then you start to, all right, let me cool down. But until that happens, because the team isn't going to stop it. You know why? Because if this guy is helping us get to the finals and win the championships,
Right.
I have no incentive to kick them off the team. I may not like his behavior, but I'm not going to risk let him go to another team and win that championship. So
Right.
let's keep him here. So it's up to again. Not everybody's an MMA, specialist, but if you stand up to the guy, he'll probably stop his behavior. And if he don't, then now that regardless if they stand up, the NBA needs to. I understand he's a big star, but they got to step in and like, yo, if John Morant, who's a promising prospect, is out here, pulling out guns on Instagram, and he could get suspended for 50 days, then Draymond Green, if he's going to assault players in a game that isn't meant to be physically, you know, played that way, then you should ban him for 10 games and maybe dock his pay and change that
How old is
behavior.
he?
Draymond Green has to be like 38 at this point.
So he's on his way out, and he's trying to fuck with people that are on their way in. Like, just from an equity standpoint, you just look at the league. Like, why would you let a fading star hurt a rising star and just be cool with that? Like, yeah, I don't know. I Not saying age needs to be a thing, but it definitely factors in here. It's like, why would you guys like? We're not talking about Shaq over here. You know what I mean? Like people will
Yeah.
forget this guy's name in 5 years. He will be a afterthought. But I don't know. I just
So yeah, so actually, let me backtrack. He's actually not 38. He just maybe it's because the gray in his beard. He's actually 34. But
okay.
a courtesy of ESPN, there are concerns with the Golden State Warriors because a lot of his teammates and I'm sure management is fed up with his antics because he got suspended twice already in the same this season.
How many
And
games?
uh, I'm not sure. I think they kept that one under wraps. But yeah, he
Well,
was
how many game?
suspended.
Well, how many games did he play this year? Then
Oh, he missed about 5 to 8 games this year.
that's it.
That's it. That's what I'm saying.
Hmm.
And these antics, if he keeps doing it, the penalties eventually, because Draymond Green is on his way out. He got a good couple, 3-4 years maybe, but he's on his way out. And the Golden State has to start looking at their bottom line because they just lost the finals. Who would have thought that Golden State Warriors wouldn't have at least made the finals? So now that they're in that position where okay, we have a guy like Draymond who's essential to the team, but we don't need to pay him $100 million
Right? Is he
anymore.
a cancer, or like you start having to look at like is his worth like that Peter taught it? Is his
Right.
positive worth the negative that comes with him? And sounds like
They got a tough
not
decision to
today's
make.
state.
Yeah, they got a tough
Is it
decision
tough
to make.
though? Is it tough though? Like at that point, is it really tough?
I think when we talk about a team sport, a team will be willing to deal with somebody because again, he's not Ted Bundy. He's not doing the most egregious
God
things
damn,
that ever.
that's a,
You know,
that's a comp. That escalated. All right,
yeah, it did. It may be a bit
I
of
like it.
exaggeration,
That's fine. I'll
but
go with it.
from the team aspect, they're like, he's a popular name. He still plays great. We got a couple more years out of him still. We don't want to lose such a amazing and amazing talent to another team. So from the
Real
team aspect, yeah,
This player association, do they have things in place where your suspension increase over suspension, like per?
I'm pretty sure because I know John Moran. He was suspended, I think, for 10 games, and then he got jumped up to 50 games. But he's also not a Draymond Green name yet, so
Yeah, but you do need to keep that uniform because then that becomes a whole there has to be clauses in there and all that stuff. But I would think, you know, you look at potentially if it's going to keep happening. Okay, well, you missed 4 games, now you missed 5, now you're up to 8. Now you're up to 15. There's only 82 games. So
right.
I don't know. I just feel like if it increases, if it's supposed to do it that way, then look at that too. Like, yeah, it sounds like he has more going against him than he has for him.
Oh yeah, and I that's why for me I said it is mostly up to the NBA because the team like John Morant again I'm not calling him out. He's doing his punishment, but
He's a
he was
dumbass.
suspended. He is, but the team never released him. You know why? Because he's too much of a high potential prospect. They don't want to release him to another team and they get the benefits of
He's
what
also
he
a
can
young
do.
kid, a
Yeah,
non-mature, non-mentally developed kid. This dude's a grown-ass man with gray hair.
and that's why the NBA has to, like you said, it has to be equal treatment. And the problem is, it's going to take if it ever happens. But when you're a Draymond and above, when you have that name and star power, and you can still play at a high level, it's hard for the team to make those type of calls. So the NBA has to step in and say, you know what, we're tired of this. You're ruining the game. You're hurting people. All right, we're gonna have to sit you out. And if
Set
that
a
means you have to
precedent.
lose, I remember I heard this quote. Sometimes, especially when it comes to professional athletes, putting them on timeout doesn't help. But you know what helps? When they start losing that money out of their bank account. Because
Yeah,
now you're incentivizing them. Yo, I'm behind on, you're worried about money drying up. You're behind on bills, maybe. Well, you're probably not going to get to that point that quickly,
Right.
but you keep getting suspended to, a lot. Those games add up. You lose pay, and then
You
when it's
can't
time
hold
to,
out. You can't hold out for money and bitch about money and then be okay with being losing money. Like that
right.
doesn't make
And then the also thing you also got to think about for a lot of these athletes, unless you're LeBron James, where you're a one generational talent or
right.
superstar,
Right.
a lot of teams are going to take note. Yeah, you might be a great name, but I'm not paying you a supermax contract that you would get. You're going to get maybe I'll sign you to a 2-year, $25 million deal. It's probably going to be a little more with a Draymond, but you're not going to get the deals that you're used to.
You're not going
So
to get to
now,
do what you expect. Right.
right, and then you're going to be like, what? That's like Denzel. If he has a standard quote of 25 million a movie and he goes act a fool, we're not going to pay you that no more. We're going to give you 5 million. Well, you have a lifestyle you have to maintain. You have a certain expectation of pay. When you don't get that, it changes your behavior. And I think the NBA has to hit them when it hurts. The
But you know
pockets.
what makes sense too is yeah, you get someone to do with like a 2-year prove it contract, but yeah, let's just say 2 for 25, right? But you have the incentives to earn 10 million more if you do not get X number of technical fouls or or ejection. You know what I mean? Like things like that where it gives you the incentive to not be a douche. Like that's what they're gonna have to do. They're gonna have to do something like that to give you a childish rule to show, hey, when you're playing in this league, we act like fucking adults. So now, if you want more money, you can earn it if you act like an adult.
You know what though? Even that's a good point, but the only thing I would say that would probably work more for like the lower tier, the not so popular athletes.
Okay.
Because someone like Draymond, what is 10 million going to add to him when he's already getting 150 million for this contract, and he has endorsements and he gets free stuff. So it's not like 10 million is going to make or break him.
Well, then,
But
then shut the fuck up about your contract. Then, like that's how that goes. Like if you're
yeah,
saying he's going to come to the table and be like, "Well, I'm not signing that 25." Okay, cool. Bye, Felicia.
and that's exactly what they got to do. The team has to, when it's time to renegotiate contracts. Hey, they're gonna leverage, because actually, let me back up. There's actually I think a couple videos of him and other athletes who have done some egregious fouls, right? So they can use those videos like, hey, you remember you did this, and you got suspended. Well, you know what? We're not satisfied with you, so you could take this offer or you leave it. We're not going to give you what you want. So now it incentivizes athletes. Hey, if I want to get paid what I feel like I'm worth, I got to clean up the game. And if they don't do that, then
35 years old, man. Like you're playing 82 games. You have to account for potential injury with age, and then you almost have to bake into that contract. Your dumbass is probably gonna get suspended for 10 games, so you're losing probably at least 20 games right there, right? So you want more money from this 25 or whatever it would be. Like I don't know. I think
yeah.
athletes forget about the business part of it. They just see, well, I make more money, I get more zero. Okay, not how that works, man. It is, but it's not how it works. There's other stuff to it.
Yeah, and then, this is, but that's why, like, I'm gonna use an example real shortly, but this is why I said the NBA has to step in, because Draymond could, if this was to happen, if the Golden State was to lower his pay, he could go to another team and get
Yeah,
more money.
yeah.
That doesn't change his behavior, because, like I said before, when you've gotten to this point this long, playing the way you have, and you have only just probably got a slap on the wrist, you're not going to stop. And I think so. One of the examples I used was, so I know you're not a big UFC fan, but most people probably heard of Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Conor McGregor, which
Yeah.
was a couple years ago. But Khabib jumped out the cage after the fight, after he won and beat Conor. He jumped out the cage, attacked some of Conor's friends and audience. Conor got into a couple scraps with Khabib's teammates. Khabib made a pretty sizable check, but the fine he got from the commission they withheld his money and they took a big, sizable, noticeable chunk out of it for his and Connor too. But Connor's a little more. He has the money in the bank. So, but for someone like Draymond, when you're making 150 million, a $5,000 fine is like a dollar to Jeff Bezos. That's
Right.
nothing. So what they got to do is, we're going to suspend you more games. If that don't work, we're going to increase these fines
Well,
because
if you get
you
suspended,
know
you don't get your game check, right? Is that how that works?
I think so. I think you don't get paid for that game. But for someone like for Draymond, missing 5 games is not going to hurt him the same way if it was,
25,
a
30.
So that's what. And even then, he has his he has money saved up. He has a big sizable income. So you sign a 4-year, $200 million supermax contract. You miss 20 games, you're still making well over
Yeah.
200,000. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think the fines have to reflect because the fines that they have, yeah, it might hurt the entry level NBA player, but for someone like Draymond, especially when you have people around you or a commission that's not really fining you like that, I would pick the 5 million. I'll be back next game. That's not going to change the behavior. They got to do what other commissions do. You want to play games, you're going to win stupid prizes, and you're going to suffer. So you're going to have to learn your lesson. If you commit a crime, you do the time. You don't. So I don't know what happens though. I'm pretty sure he's going to stay with the Golden State. I guarantee it, and he's going to keep doing it until an athlete retaliates and maybe hurts him,
That's
or
why I'm saying like that. That's really the only way that gets solved is you fuck around and found out. Like it's going that. That's why there's like an unwritten code in all of these leagues where it's like, there's rules and then there are the other rules where it's like this is a brotherhood, right? We're all trying to play the game we love. We're all trying to make money doing it. If you're out here to purposely injure me, now we have a personal problem. The league can do whatever it wants to do, but I'm going to go up for a rebound and fall on your ankle, and good luck getting up. And that's if that doesn't fix it, oh well. I don't know what to tell you, but you're right. The financial part of it, they make so much money. They make so much money that it doesn't matter. You're right. It doesn't matter unless you were just coming in the league. And at that point, you probably have these little side endorsement deals where you got cash flow anyway. Like
exactly.
get your signing bonus of like signing bonus is 7.5 mil. It's like, motherfucker, you didn't do anything yet. You literally didn't do anything yet. And we're giving
Right.
you 7.5 from the jump. Silly. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I know it sounds bad and against that brotherhood, but I'm also like, if you have a cancer in the league, man, you gotta do
Yeah.
something about it. You gotta take some aggressive treatment options.
You're right. This, and I know people are going to, especially when it comes to athletes with a certain prestige of money, people are going to say, well, that's too egregious. But think about it just in your everyday life. Even people in the NBA behind the scenes, coaches, referees, officials who has name recognition and make a lot of money. They do something egregious, they might either get fired or they're going to get replaced or they're going to be demoted. So we can't let a lot of these professional athletes who are people's fan favorites. Yeah, we understand. Draymond Green is beloved, but at the same time, he's hurting somebody else and he's putting up somebody else on the sidelines, and they're not making money. When he does that, he can survive doing that. These other athletes who may not have his name and prestige cannot do that, and it's not right. Like you said, this is a brotherhood. A lot of people who've been doing this since they were kids, and now they got to the point where they can compete, and then now you got to sit out on the game because some fool from another team want to act dirty, play dirty, and it hurts you. It's not right. It's not right. And a lot of athletes, I can't remember. I don't know if it was Derrick Rose, but there was another famous basketball player. I was just reading about this, but he was talking
Derrick
about the
Rose
same.
played 12 games in his whole career. That dude did not stay healthy for the life of him.
So you're right. It's not him. But there's a high profile NBA player who's still playing to this day. I forgot who it was, but he was doing a piece recently, interview, and he was talking about how he was able to bounce back from injuries. One of the things he said was, I had to learn how to stop taking unnecessary punishment. Stop letting heavier guys just lean on me and hurt me in the gym. When I'm on the court, I'm not taking unnecessary bumps and risks. Because we see the flopping going on. Like, there's no reason why someone posted you up in the paint and you go flying into the stands. Like, unless they actually shove you that way,
Right.
flailing around trying to get a
Physics don't
foul.
work that way, man. I'm just saying,
Stupid.
physics don't work that way.
Stupid. I will say I love the NBA, but the WWE, like, flying around acting like, I saw a video. It's funny. I saw a video on Instagram. LeBron, I think someone was guarding LeBron, and they shoved him a little bit. It was a little love tap, and the dude did a whole backflip. I'm like, yo, come on, man. Like, you know, I love LeBron, but
Hockey
the
isn't that
flopping
much
is
better,
ridiculous.
unfortunately. There's a lot of those things that happen there, but you get away with it more because you're literally on ice. You're on
That's
skate
true.
on ice, so it's like, is it a flop? I mean, it has to be a super egregious flop for it to be like, because there's literally there's a penalty called diving.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah, I know that. Yeah,
so it's a thing, but it's harder to call because it's like, no, dude, you are skating at 20 miles an hour on fucking ice. You
yeah,
know?
you're bound to slip and catch. But yeah, the NBA, yeah, they got to clean up that, because that's one of the reasons why I haven't really watched in the last couple of years, because the egregious flopping and the baby
Well,
into is
the
ridiculous.
charge, like that's the thing. Like, what is a charge? What's traveling? What's goaltending? Like all of these crazy little idiosyncrasies. It's like you're I don't know. Like you're right. It seems like they have a lot of rules in place that almost incentivize it a little bit, but,
Right.
but nobody's super clear on what the rule actually is. Like, well, we'll figure it out as we go. Yeah, all right.
It goes back to my original point. They have to, if you're gonna make rules, you gotta follow them. And NHL, you go diving or you blatantly hit an opponent with a stick, you go to the penalty box or possibly even ejected from the game. NBA got to clean it up. Like, they just, I get it. When you have a must see star on TV, you don't want to get rid of them, but you got to have a balance where, if you want to have a new player who's still trying to prove himself, you know you suspend them for 20 games for egregious flopping, but you let a bigger name do it, and all he gets is a foul shot. It ruins the sport. But I could go on that tangent all day. Um, you know, Rich. We've been having a great conversation. I'm pretty sure I always bring up subjects that you don't think you're going to end up talking about, and you end up enjoying.
And it's the
That's the
super funniest thing because we literally said off camera, I'm like, dude, I don't give a shit about basketball. And legitimately, probably 45% of this or 45 minutes of conversation have been on this basketball thing. And I'm just like, huh, well, that's funny how that works.
It's the most charismatic way, man.
Hey,
That's what I do. You know what it is. I gotta give credit to Sugar Bear Pro, but um, Rich, I got a jet to catch. I got to meet Dwayne the Rock Johnson, Scarlett Johansson for lunch. But I'm just kidding. But I'm gonna have you on again. We always have
yeah,
great talks, and
we do.
just for the record, just in case people might have missed it before. But where can people check out your podcast, find your website, and all that good stuff?
So all the links are on the actual podcast. I'll send you the actual physical link of it, but it's xandoflifepod.com. And that's where the links for all the socials are. Friends of the show are on there. I'm going to chuck you on there as well. I meant to ask you if that was okay with you, but I'll put your information on the Friends of the Show part of it. And yeah.
You want to use my
Also,
likeness?
I mean, no, I want the website to
No.
succeed.
Uh,
Um,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I will say this really quick here too. So, and I told you about this dude. So, my dude Jeff on Twitter, and I have him on the Friends of the Show as well. His whole story is on there, but basically we have a GoFundMe up there for him. Um, Anything you contribute would be helpful. Long story short, we're trying to get him out of this living in a hotel. He hurt his back, lost his place, and doesn't make enough money to overtake the paying $1,500 a month for the hotel, save up to get his apartment. So we've been working pretty damn hard on that. So if you're interested about it, check it out on the Friends of the Show tab on the website. All the information's there, and his information is there for you to reach out to him as well. So, real good guy. It's a good cause. So, that's all I really have to say about that.
That's beautiful. I always end the episode, you know, I always say a helping hand is a better hand. And I want people to realize it sounds catchy and it's cool, but it's a meaning behind that. We're all going to need help at some point in our journey. We're all going to need some guidance and support one way or another. And, I'm glad because you told me about Jeff and his situation. So, I
And
know. Yeah,
I've
yeah.
contributed myself. I've contributed myself, and I even actually had the family members. My birthday is coming up. I told them, hey, whatever you are thinking about doing for me, don't. I just rather you contribute to him. And a few people already have. So yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to
Yeah.
chuck it in there. Like I don't want you to think I'm just advocating and not contributing. Like no, it's an actual, I'm balls deep in this.
See, this is the Rich we all know and love. You started off all somber, and then towards the end, you became the Rich we all appreciate.
It's like a Sour Patch Kid, bitch. Go.
Oh my god! But like I said, Rich, we always have great conversations. I'm sure everybody who listens every time we do an episode. Thank you everybody for always tuning in. Go check out Rich. Go check out the GoFundMe that's happening for his good friend. And stay positive. Continue working on your goals. And like I always say, a helping hand is a better hand. Thank you, Rich.
Hey, brother, I appreciate you, man. You take it easy.